Okay, today we're going to switch things up a little bit and we are going to add in some negative numbers and we're going to subtract them too. So let's look at adding and subtracting with negatives. Alright, so when we're adding with negatives, we need to be looking at the absolute values of the numbers that we're adding. So remember that absolute value is just our distance from 0 along a number line. And then one other thing, opposite numbers like -3 and +3 have the same absolute value. So if we look at our number line here, we look at -3 and we look at +3, they're both the exact same distance from 0. If you're on the positive side, then your absolute value is just whatever the number is. The absolute value of 4 is 4. But if you're on the negative side, you just need to drop the negative. So -4 is also 4 units from 0. It's just in the other direction. So the absolute value of -4 is +4. Absolute value is always positive, and we're going to use that to compare when we are adding things. All right, so what if our two numbers have the same sign? So either they're both positive or they're both negative. If they have the same sign, we add the absolute values, and then we keep the same sign. So for example, if we've got 4 plus 6, well, you know that one already, that's 10. They have the same sign, so we add them, and then we keep a positive. But if we have -4 plus -6, then we keep it negative. So the absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of -6 is 6. So we are adding those up to get 10. They're both negative though, so our answer is negative. It's a little bit different if we have opposite signs. So one is negative and one is positive. When we have opposite signs, we want to subtract the absolute values. And then we keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So right here we've got 4 plus a -6. So 6 minus 4 is 2, but we keep the sign on the 6. Because we have a -6, our answer is -2. If we look at this one, we've got -4 plus a +6. So again, 6 minus 4 is 2, but this time the 6 is positive, and that's the larger number, so we keep a +2. Here's a few for you to try. So the first one, we've got 38 plus a -4. These have opposite signs, so we subtract and get 34, and then the 38 is the much bigger absolute value, so we stay positive. -63 plus a -10. These have the same sign, so we add to get 73, and they're both negative, so our answer is -73. And then -6.2 plus a 5.9. These have opposite signs, so we do subtract to get 0.3, and the -6.2 has the larger absolute value, so our answer is -0.3. Okay, let's talk about subtracting. There's actually only one rule with subtraction, and that's what we want to turn it into an addition problem. So we don't want to subtract, we just want to add. So when subtracting, we just add the opposite. So if we are subtracting a positive number, that's the same as adding a negative number. And if we are subtracting a negative number, that's the same thing as adding a positive number. So we do the opposite. So let's look at this first one. 14 minus 6, something that you probably knew already. It's going to be 8. Well, that's the same thing as saying 14 plus a -6. So the signs are opposite. We subtract the absolute values, and we keep the sign of the 14 because it's the larger absolute value. But if we have 14 minus a -6, then that's the same thing as 14 plus a +6, because we're going to turn it into an addition problem, and that's 20. Okay, here's a few more for you to try. We've got -12 minus 4. We turn that into a -12 plus a -4 to get a -16, because they have the same sign, so we add. 16 minus a -20. We're going to change that to 16 plus a positive 20, and that's just 36. And then finally, negative 4.1 minus 3.7. So that's negative 4.1 plus a negative 3.7. They have the same sign. We add up the absolute values to get 7.8, and it's a negative 7.8 because both of our numbers are negative. Okay, that's all I've got for this. We'll get some practice in with that tomorrow and bring your questions to class.